Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So if you're seeing this video, that means that I'm still out for work, but that's okay. I still got something pretty cool for you. So I had a question. Normally I hold these for the Q&A, but this is a little unusual circumstances. But there was some questions during the shop tour about what lives, in cupboards and drawers and things like that at my miter station, because I have a lot of storage over there. And as you know, I'm kind of a little on the OCD side when it comes to organization. So I wanted to kind of turn this camera around and I'll show you a bit of what's going on over there. We'll take a more in-depth look at what I've done, and I've done some recent upgrades. And if you stick around till the very end of the video, we're going to give away this Lee Nielsen number 4 smoothing plane. So stick around and see how you can enter. So we're going to start kind of on this end because there's not a whole lot of changes down here, but I don't know that I've gone really into depth about what is down here. Obviously the refrigerator, and I chose a steel refrigerator because it's a good place to mount my magnets and stuff that I use right here at the table saw. It does have the T-track in the table, so I can mount stop blocks in here for longer pieces, and it comes out here almost to the end of the table. So I can get a pretty good long piece in here and still have stop blocks. My fence is up here. If you watch me for any length of time, you know I like to run dual stop blocks if I'm cutting rails and stiles or something along those lines. Picture frames where you have 2 different sides. It's just easy to set this up, and you have both cuts, repeatability, and away you go. You can't do that if you only have the one stop block in the table. So I'm going to switch the camera around because this cupboard door opens the other way, and show you what's going on here. This gap over here I use to throw like my tenon jig and my spline miter jig and some things like that. They store nicely in there, but this could be repurposed for just about anything. So over here I have the dedicated CT vac that goes to the miter saw, which is of course the Capex, and I just did a video on that with the insert from Hooked on Wood, which was a good deal. You can go check that out. But in this cupboard is where my HVLP lives. So in the first pull out, of course, is the HVLP and some guns and some things like that. And in the bottom one is the hose and the cord for that HVLP. And that's what actually lives in this drawer all the time. Now these are not soft close, so they will slam. And in this drawer, it's a little messy, but this is all video gear, stuff for my GoPro and my 2 cameras that I use in the shop, and some lighting and some microphones, etc. But this is all video stuff and really not even woodworking related. Moving up to this one, I have some random stuff, but it is organized. So like all of my brushes for finishes and glues and things like that. I have sticks for the glue gun. I have a little bit of electrical stuff in here. Not that I do a lot of electrical in here, but there is some in here. And some miscellaneous parts for clocks and things like that. Like I said, it is organized, but it is kind of a catch-all drawer. Moving down, I have an empty drawer. Third drawer down is dominoes storage. So these are kind of the 3 dominoes I use most, and they're all stored in here in trays. I have some jigs for running the router, the Festool router on the track, and things like that. This drawer is all pretty much tap and die stuff. So not that I get into that very much, but when I want it, I have it, it's here. And it all lives in this drawer. This drawer is all manuals. So everything in the shop that has a manual, it lives in this drawer. And the bottom drawer is kind of overflow router stuff. So like big panel sets, some guide bushings, things like that. That all lives in this drawer. And finishing up over here at the Capex, my scrap bin lives underneath here. This is the very first scrap bin I ever built, and it's still in the shop because it works so darn well. And I love it right under the saw. I cut something here, toss it in, and away we go. I'm going to move the camera a little bit, and we'll slide down. So, moving down the line, the next bank of drawers. This top drawer is, again, more miscellaneous screws and things like drywall anchors that I use quite a bit in the house. Spacers. I have all kinds of these little black spacers. They come whenever you buy a TV mount or something. I hang on to those because you never know, they come in handy in the shop. I keep some business cards in here to use as shims around drawer fronts. Additional zero clearance inserts for the miter saw. The jigget for mounting Blum drawer glides lives in here. I keep a lot of shim stock in here if I'm doing spline miters. Again, though, it's a bit of a catch-all drawer, but that's okay. I know where everything is. The second drawer down is my various band clamps. I have 3 of these Bessie band clamps. I like them. They do just fine, and they're foam inlaid in this drawer. And I know right where they're at when I need them. This drawer is all edge banding stuff, so a lot of fast cap, a lot of edge band material, various trimmers and cutters and sanders, and of course J rollers. So that all just lives in this drawer. This one is squares. Not that I get to them that often, but when I do, I like to be able to find them. I have a couple of different sizes in here. All the feet for my clamps on the wall are in here, so if I get to a spot where I want them, I know exactly where they're at. And I also keep a couple of spare covers in here. I've broke a couple over the years, and I just have a couple of spares to replace them. This drawer is all sandpaper. This is all sandpaper for my 5-inch sanders, my Festool stuff, and some drill-mounted sanders as well. These come in handy from time to time. And then sanding blocks and things of that nature live in here. And I've thrown the actual Blum jig in here just because it fits so nicely. And the bottom drawer is again more sandpaper, but this is all for my smaller ETS sander. And I really think once this paper is all gone, I will probably sell or give away that ETS sander, the smaller one, because I just don't use it that often. Sliding down, this is my secondary router storage. So I keep the Bosch in here. It's my goal to put another tray in here. I just haven't got around to it yet, but that's all on a pull-out as well. And this drawer is open, again, because I just emptied this drawer and got some different storage stuff. And of course down here is all the various Festool stuff. So the first bank of 3, those are all sanders. There's the ETS 125, the ETS 150, and the Rotex, the 150. I love these 2 sanders. Like I said, this one I just don't use all that often. The second bank are both Dominoes. There's the 500 and the 700. So moving down, I have the jigsaw, which I don't use much anymore. I have the Festool connector kit, which I have not used yet. I have it. It's on my bucket list to figure out how to use it. And then I have the OF 1400 router. And down here I have the TS75 track saw. So I'm going to zip down here and show you these last 2 drawers, and then we'll go up. So in the bottom of those two drawers is kind of everything that goes with my drill press. My Forstner bits are down here. I have various different brad point bits, Vicks bits, some Apexes, things of that nature. And this tray comes out and gets to my bigger Forstner bits, replacement inserts for the drill press, and that sort of thing. And then I have some extension bits that live over here on this side. The top drawer is all kind of jig related fasteners and things like that. So, you know, I keep the toilet bolts in here along with, you know, T-handles, a few lockdowns, that sort of thing, a couple of various clamps. But if I were needing to make a jig, all my parts for making that jig live in this one drawer, and I know where to go find all of that stuff. So I'm going to reposition the camera again, and we'll go up, and I'll show you what's going on in the upper cabinets. So this whole wall here is part of recent organization stuff for me. The sockets and the wrenches and all that, they were living in a drawer, and it was just cumbersome, and I had this wall space here. So I went ahead and moved this stuff up here. As of yet, it has not been an issue. I don't foresee it being an issue. But this whole upper section is recent upgrades for me. We'll start in this cabinet. This one is kind of what I affectionately call the rockler / festool cabinet, because that's really what it looks like when you open it up. The festool stuff is kind of overstock stuff. Extra dominoes and things like that that didn't, you know, fit in the drawer that I have them in. Extra bags for the CT. There's some screw storage up there. The iron for doing edge banding lives up there. Rockler bits kind of all live here, and these are, I keep them on hand, so if I need to turn out a quick gift for somebody or something along those lines, I have stuff on hand and I can make pretty quick work of that without having to order material. My Dremel lives in here, and a lot of the Dremel accessories and things like that also live in here. So yeah, let's move down. So moving down to the center cabinet, I had a ton of stuff like hinges and poles and handles and Blum parts and, you know, that kind of stuff that was living in multiple places in my shop. And that made it difficult. You know, if I needed hinges for something, I would look in, you know, a couple of different locations. So I didn't find exactly what I was looking for. I'd order more and then find, gee, I already had those. So I put all these plastic containers in, and I was kind of looking for a container that was really clear, and I was having trouble finding. I know Rubbermaid makes some that are clear, but they're not super clear like these are. I actually found these at the big box store in the kitchen organization portion of the store. And these are actually made for the refrigerator. They're a little bit more expensive, but I really like how clear they are. And again, it's just more, you know, kind of overflow parts that I have on hand when I'm in the middle of a project. I have them. I keep some workbench casters up here, some table lazy Susan parts up there. This is a top T-track, so you can put a stop block, you know, like if I were to build a new crosscut sled or something like that, that T-track would land in there. Torsion box hinges, handles that match our walk-in closet stuff, the leftovers are in here. Just stuff like that lives in here, but I know right where everything is at. It's easy to find, it's easy to see, so it's not out of sight and out of mind. Let's move down to the last one. So the last cupboard down here is kind of the finishes. Eventually, a lot of this will come out and will go into a fireproof cabinet. I just haven't got there yet. So, you know, various finishes. If you followed me for a while, you know I'm a fan of general finishes, so that stuff lives in here. Some quick lacquer, black paint, waterborne finish up here. My wife is a quilter, so when she gets extra cotton material and whatnot, she cuts it up into squares for me, so I always have finishing rags. My branding iron is up here since, you know, this is kind of the end of the process, but this cabinet is pretty much primarily just finishes. So moving down here to the shelf level, Christmas time, my kids got me a bank charger for my DeWalt drills. And I was kind of struggling. Actually, this was what drove all of the change in this whole section, was I didn't really have a good home for this to live. So I looked back at the old drill station that I had here, and I loved the station, but there were some things about it that I didn't like as it fit in this shop. It worked well in the last two shops. It just wasn't working in this shop. I love the way that these drills all hang so that the bits are out. So I know what's in each one. I leave them loaded pretty much all the time. I do always leave one open for something strange that comes along. But I essentially took the old station and I cut everything out that I didn't like. I got rid of the two Festool sustainers. That was a drill and a drill bit set, and they're now foam inlaid in a drawer, and the sustainers went to storage. Frankly, I don't use that drill that often, but I like the 90-degree feature on it. It's a nice drill, but I just don't use it that often. I primarily use the DeWalt's. My West Systems lives here, the extra glue, the pencil sharpener. My glove bin lives over here. Some miscellaneous hand tools over here underneath the mini split. And let me move the camera around and I will show you drawer glide storage, which I just finished up. And then we'll get back to the table and we'll talk about giving a hand plane away. So kind of closing off this side, I had drawer glides all over the shop in various places. I had them on the back of my outfeed table. I had them under my Rubo. They were all over the place. So I just banged together some boxes out of some leftover birch ply that I had to the various lengths, and I marked the lengths on the top and just stacked them in this corner. I have a lot of Blum glides left over, and I don't normally maintain this many glides on hand, but I'm certainly not going to throw them out. So let's move back to the assembly table, and we'll talk about how to enter to win that hand plane. So there's the miter station. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Hit me with questions. That's always cool. And as you saw in there, I had, two empty drawers, and that upper cabinet in the middle still had some room. So I have some room for growth. I'm happy that not everything is really packed in there. So to enter to win the number 4 Lie-Nielsen smoothing plane, go down to the show notes, get my email, send me an email with number 4 in it, and I will get you entered to win this hand plane. I went ahead and opened my doors back here so you could see that my number 4 is still in the cabinet. It's a wonderful hand plane. I like it. And this one is used, so this isn't a paid spot, or Lie-Nielsen certainly didn't donate it or anything like that. I just happened to acquire it in a different way. So it is used. It probably needs to be sharpened. But it is still a Lie-Nielsen hand plane, and it's pretty much like new. So grab my email, send me an email with number 4 in it somewhere, and I will get you entered to win. I believe we're going to draw the winner on around March 1st, and then I will ship it. When it comes to shipping, if you're outside the United States, you have to cover the shipping. I just can't afford to be shipping stuff all over the globe. But if you cover shipping outside the United States, you're welcome to enter. Inside the United States, I will cover the shipping. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. And until next time.